So you must have heard those people on the internet telling you that you need to do more and get more done. So I'd just like to know, have you, and let me know in the comments, have they made you feel that coming out of lockdown, having not written a novel or learned a new language, you're a failure? That is a toxic productivity message right there. But salad cream boy, you gorgeous little YouTubist, I hear you ask. What exactly is toxic productivity? Well, my observant yet brutally honest viewer, gather round and allow me to enlighten you. So just before we get started, I'd just like to announce that I have a merchandise store. This is where you can find prints of various phrases and images where it just makes sure that you're not taking everything a bit too seriously. You can find a link to this in the description below. Now with that said, let's get back to it, shall we? So yes, the first thing I better address is what exactly is toxic productivity. Toxic productivity is the obsession with radical self-improvement above all else. Not to be confused with radical self-care. There's another video on that and I'll link it in the description below. And unfortunately the result of that is no matter how productive you've been, you're still left to feel insecure and actually maybe a little guilty that maybe you should have got a bit more done. Now, I'll be going through what you can do about this in just a minute. But before that, I just want to go through exactly where does the pressure come from to be so productive. So we seem to have a wider cultural problem in our society. The pressure to be constantly online and on social media means that the world around us always seems to be peeking through our window. And it has a constant view into our lives. And that compounds that pressure to appear a certain way in front of our friends, our family, and even in front of our work colleagues and our bosses. We're constantly being bombarded by things like adverts, commercials that encourage us to measure our self-worth based on our productivity. And the thing is, if a company can get you to obsess over your productivity, then they can sell you a whole load of stuff that you just don't need. And if you're finding this helpful, I'd love it if you could hit that like button, that way this can reach more people. And with that said, let's get back to it, shall we? So one of the best ways to counter this is to recognize when your productivity is being toxic. I can just about hear in the distance that little voice I heard earlier. But salad cream boy, you absolute marvel. How exactly do we do that? Well, dear viewers, that is a fantastic question. Here I have for you a few ways on how to recognize toxic productivity. The first way to recognize it is that you're working to the extent that it's actually harming your physical and mental health. It's having a negative effects on your relationships and it's generally having a really bad effect on your well-being. So the second way is that you start noticing that you have relentless and unrealistic expectations on yourself. So you feel that you're failing to be enough. And the third way is that you experience a lot of restlessness and you find it really difficult to relax or to even get to sleep. So, as I alluded to earlier, so how do we combat this and how do we ease the pressure of toxic productivity? The first way is to simply recognize that you are human, just like the rest of us, and you are enough just the way you are today. This is without having amazing exam results, without having a flash career, and without having all those designer outfits. You are enough just as you are today. The second way of easing the pressure of toxic productivity is to recognize that self-care isn't just an indulgence, it's actually a necessity. It's essential for good mental and physical health. Sometimes being human just simply means you just need to rest. Sorry, I just feel that my glasses are just all over the place like Eric Morecambe. Let's just see if we can't get them under control, right? And the third and most effective way of combating this is to have non-negotiables in your life and add them to your self-care list. Certain things that no matter how busy you get, you always do them. And I do mean always. So this could look like a lot of things, like just making sure that you have time for lunch or getting into that exercise regime or even having that hour to wind down before you go to sleep. So if you start doing those things, trust me, your mental health is going to thank you. Okay, so that's all well and good, but how do I feel that I can do all these things in the first place? How can we actually feel that it's okay to, just relax and rewind? So to that, I say this. Ultra productivity and laziness are not the only options here. At the time of this video, we've only just come out of a heavy lockdown and it's a really difficult time for a lot of people. So give yourself a break and go easy on the self-criticism. And I can't believe I just said that correctly the first time. Try talking to yourself with a bit of encouragement, kindness and support. Try talking to yourself like you'd normally talk to a friend who's going through a similar situation. This is not a productivity contest. So if you can find a balance between meaningful activity and self-care, then you are doing enough. Okay, so one thing that I can offer you now is one thing that you can do today to make you feel better. So that one thing you can do today is choose joy. So you pick one thing to do today that you do for no other reason that you enjoy it. And when you're putting together your to-do list, you add one thing that you do just for pleasure. So when the world does feel overwhelming and you're not sure what to do or how to feel, again, choose joy. Because it's like I always say, at the end of the day, it gets dark.